It's 6 o'clock. I'm calling to order the special meeting of the City Council of the City of Bandera. All council members are present, the city administrator is present, the city secretary is present, and our marshal is present. Item 2 is the invocation and pledge of allegiance. If you would all stand for the invocation and pledge. And Will, would you lead us in the pledge, in the invocation, please?
Most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all together this evening. Thank you for the cooler weather we've had today. Lord, I'd ask for your blessings upon this meeting. Thank you for bringing us all together. Please get us all home safely, Lord. Ask for your blessings upon the City Council, our state government, and Lord, most of all upon our great country and our political leaders in Washington, so they might all bring this country together so they can be great once again. Lord, most of all, we'd like to thank you for your Son who died upon the cross for our many sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. The flag is there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. With that being done, folks, I would like to move items J, K, L, and M to the front of this agenda, Council. Ardura is here with Jonathan P. Pateller and Derek Nizer. Item J, discussion and possible action on awarding contract for engineering services for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through the Texas Department of Emergency Management to include preparation and submission of an application or applications and with funding administration of projects. You have in your packet item J, you have the score sheet. There were 3 people who scored this. I'm not even aware who did the scoring. I did not do any scoring. And they came up with an average score of 100 for Ardura. Do I have a motion? Darcy.
Make a motion that we award a contract for engineering services for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program to the Texas Department of Emergency Management to include preparation and submission of applications with the funding administration.
Do you have a second?
She's still reading it.
Oh, are you still reading?
Well, administration of the projects. Now I'm done.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Item K, discussion and possible action on awarding a contract for grant writing administration for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through the Texas Department of Emergency Management to include preparation and submission of an application or applications and with funding administration of projects. Item K, you have in front of you the average score is 100. Do I have a motion?
Is this the only grant writing service that submitted?
I did not score. How many grant writers submitted?
Two did. Okay, and what you're just presenting us with the top scores.
Correct.
Yeah. Move to approve Langford.
Thank you, Rebecca. Second. Christine. Discussion?
Anybody that can water?
Very nice, thank you.
Appreciate that. What I want to say that Ardura and Langford have already done all the background work on this very same project, and so I'm definitely in favor of this. Any further discussion?
Who seconded the motion? I'm sorry, the water payment. Okay, thanks.
Christine did. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay. Item L, discussion of possible action on awarding a contract for engineering services for the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration, that's EDA, grant program to include preparation and submission of an application or applications and with funding administration of projects. Rebecca.
Move to approve Adora.
Thank you. Ardura did get an average score of 96.7. Do you have a second?
Second.
Darcy. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Derek and Jonathan.
M, discussion and possible action on awarding a contract for grant writing and administration for the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration EDA grant program to include preparation and submission of an application with funding administration of projects. We didn't get the score sheet, but we got the score sheet instead of the average. And you'll see there was GrantWorks, Langford, and Goodman Corp. GrantWorks has 95.67. Langford came in at 83, and Goodman Corp came in at 65.33. Rebecca?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I would make a motion if that's all right. On this particular grant, has Langford already also done the back work on this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you just refresh council on the difference between these two, or are they both for the same project?
They are all for the same project. They're different funding opportunities that we're reaching out for the same wastewater relocation plan
Okay.
project.
So, may I still continue?
Yes, ma'am.
David, do you have a recommendation on either staying with Langford because they've done the back work and they're doing the other side of this grant, or moving to the higher scoring firm? Do you have an opinion?
My experience is with GrantWorks, and they have, in my previous city, assisted the city in getting the grant. So I know that they also work in the county of Bandera, and they're a very capable company. So the scoring is basically I have to go with the recommendation of the scoring.
Okay. I get the, I'm interested in working with GrantWorks. I'm just wondering if.
Let's get a motion on the table because this is
I thought I
turning on
had
into
the floor.
discussion. We're
Okay.
getting into discussion.
Okay, I'll move to appoint GrantWorks in that case.
I'll second.
Okay.
Darcy seconds. Okay, yes, ma'am. Carry on,
So,
please.
I just wonder if there would be more value in finishing out this project, and then, like, maybe in the future when we transition into other grant funding opportunities and other projects, that we try to bring in a new firm. But
That's the pleasure of
See
the
what I'm
council.
saying?
Listen, this is our recommendation, y'all, of course, are authorized to go with whoever you decide to go with.
Tony?
So the recommendations, were they based solely independently and not based on the value to the project individually?
Right.
Okay, so, because I had the same thoughts Rebecca did. I just feel like they should finish what they want, but with what they started, get this completed, and I really would like to see working with GrantWorks at another time.
Darcy?
I have a question, David. On what was the price difference between the two, working the grant between GrantWorks?
It's like $1,500.
I work with GrantWorks in my regular job, so I have experience working with them. I know that they're capable, so that's why I'm comfortable with them, but I'm also comfortable with the others. So I really, with it only being $1,500, I'm really okay with either.
I would like to see us stay with Langford again, just to finish this project. They've already got all the background, have been through it, but so we'll call for a vote, and if this vote does not pass, if this motion doesn't pass, then we'll make a second motion.
I could also withdraw the motion.
Would you like to withdraw the
I'll
motion?
withdraw the motion.
Withdraw the second? Make a new motion?
Sure, if I may. I'll move to appoint Langford as our grant writing administration company.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Darcy seconds. Discussion on this motion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Thank you, that takes care of that part of the agenda. We'll move back to the top now. And thank you for your patience, folks. Item 4 is a public hearing. The City Council will hold a public hearing and first reading regarding the Bandera Comprehensive Plan, the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance, including Appendix 1, Transportation Master Plan, Appendix 2, Subdivision Ordinance, Appendix 3, Place Type Zoning Ordinance. No one stepped up to speak?
Mayor,
Matt's
you did skip item 3. Did you want to do
Ma'am?
item 3? The visitors to be heard.
Are there any visitors to be heard?
No, not on the sheet.
Nobody
Okay.
signed up earlier. I need to
Okay.
make that part of the record. Thank you. Back to the public hearing.
Matt, can you do a
Anyone
presentation?
here would like to speak on the item that we're discussing here?
Suzanne,
Yes.
Matt's ready to make a presentation. Are you including that in the public hearing portion of the agenda?
It's up to the council. I don't have to do a presentation.
We don't have to make a presentation if nobody is
Okay,
interested.
No problem.
What indication do we have that they're not? There's a lot of people here. Does anybody want a presentation?
On what?
We've all seen it about a dozen times.
Well, they may not seen the presentation. There's been several
May
public
I
hearings with the
ask
same.
Matt to just stand up real quick and
Sure.
address their topic?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Matt Lewis with Simple City Design. We've been working with you all for about 18 months now, and we have completed your comprehensive master plan, your subdivision ordinance, your thoroughfare master plan, and also your zoning ordinance. Bringing Bandera back into alignment and writing standards that will keep Bandera, protect your authenticity, and integrate the codes back into standards that emulate the patterns that you had. I have a presentation if you all would like to receive it. Otherwise, it's you all have seen it many times. We've held it at the commission, but it's at the will of the council. I just wanted to thank you all for the opportunity. We're very proud of the work and everything that we've gotten from this community. The community's been fully engaged through this process. They provided fantastic feedback and shaped this plan. This plan is a vision for Bandera going forward. It creates bite-sized, low-tech projects that you all can implement and adopt to incrementally just maintain Bandera that you have and know and love. So, thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
I have a question. I was looking at kind of detailed and thinking about all the things that were brought up in the public hearings that I've been a part of. So I think a good summary for this is the zoning. A lot of the restrictions, none of the restrictions themselves are changing. We're changing from traditional zoning to place type zoning. And with that is more along the lines of how your property is, what's built on the property, not necessarily what it's used for, which our traditional zoning is what you can and can't use it for. This is more along the lines of trying to make sure that what you're traditionally used to seeing as a single family zone, that it's still, it's not as restrictive as the single family zone as it is that we've designated that as a residential area, and that we do not want to see that dense in population with buildings. So people can do more things and more flexibility with their property itself, as long as they don't take up more than 60%, I think
It varies by the
it
district.
varies by place type, but the residential area, that place type area, just to kind of give those of you that are here that haven't really been involved in the process, just high-level summaries. But I will ask a question to Matt. I was looking at the mapping that you did as far as the traditional, so the P2 rural and the RV is, this thing that you handed out.
Yes, ma'am.
Planning and zoning. I don't know if you have that slide.
Also,
But I noticed
Let
that
him
there
do
was
the presentation.
nothing mapped
I agree.
to up to one in those. Can you address that?
yes, ma'am. So, place type 1 is nature, and so the river is place type 1, and then the trails along the river. And so, if a new development came in, then you would allocate certain place types as nature within those new developments, if and when those occur. Let me pull up the map here for you real quick. And one other thing I did want to note, it's the third item on this, but we received 2 requests for zoning modifications from the previous map that was sent out. And so those have been incorporated. This was the original map that was sent out. And the properties that are changing are this one here on Cypress Street, and this one right here under the G on Gateway. They requested to go to P3 on the Cypress Street property here, and on the one on Highway 16 requested place type 4. And so you'll see that light blue right under the G. That property is 264 Highway 16. They requested a down zone because of the structure that's present. And so those were the only 2 requests we received through that process. And they have been modified, so it's at the will of the council whether you want to go with the map that was noticed or the map that has been modified and updated based on the citizen request.
And the one on 16 is because their entry isn't the highway, it's on the side street there.
Yes, ma'am, and it's a house form currently. It functions as residential.
Thank you. Darcy?
I would like to hear Matt's presentation. I'd like for the citizens to see Matt's presentation, although a lot of us have seen probably most of it already, but, you know, that way everybody can get a refresher and, you know, we've all paid very handsomely to see your work, and so I would like to see that, please.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Keep it brief.
Do what you need to do, Matt.
I'll keep it brief. So, you know, my property isn't meeting the current standards, or does it? That's often things we hear from the landowners once we got started. A potential builder may say, we love Bandera, but building Bandera is not our model. We may hear that, and so we entered in with those types of conversations. The plans are before you all tonight are the new comprehensive master plan, Bandera 2040 True to Your Roots. New thoroughfare master plan that extends the opportunity of your street network, updated zoning ordinance, which brings the ordinances and your development standards in compliance with your current built environment, as well as your new comprehensive master plan, and an updated subdivision ordinance, which governs the legal division of land to create buildable lots. It's also rezoning the properties. It's a translation of the existing zoning classifications to the new place type districts. We use knowledge that we gained from the community through conversations and meetings and workshops and design rodeos. We used our experience. With me tonight is Linda Humble. She's been a city manager for X number of years, a wonderful asset. And we worked through budgets. We analyzed how your debt service is working. We analyzed your utilities. We did a full analysis of your city in order to get to these ideas. The things we heard here is we don't like change. We're a 50-50 town, and we had to get real creative in the solutions that we proposed to you all. So setting the stage, we looked at your natural environment, we analyzed the built environment, we looked at the culture and the history. We have cowboys and cowgirls in Bandera, and that was really critical. We did a DNA analysis, which is basically a physical and numerical extraction of the numbers that make up the buildings here. How far the buildings are set back to the street, how wide the buildings are, how wide the lots are, how much glass is at the ground floor. All of these characteristics make up the places that you see. We analyzed your existing maps and patterns. We broke it into several areas that we analyzed to see how they interacted with each other, how the community used these areas in order to inform the plans going forward. We had conversations, debates, and we drew and dreamt. We showed possibilities that could happen on underutilized or vacant parcels in here in Bandera. We showed you what the code may create if a builder did come to town and wanted to build, and so we sketched for you. We imagined redeveloping the plaza between the old jail and where the old jail area is, and visualize streets there, and what may happen if redevelopment did happen behind the American Legion building. And so we had renderings that we drew. We came up with the idea of the Cedar Street Horse Pass with some of the citizens in the community to integrate waterways. This could be a great drainage solution for your small area flooding issues, as well as an opportunity to create linear cross-grid patterns for people to traverse the area without having to stay on the street network. When we studied Bandera, we came to a conundrum, understanding where you're going, where you've been. There's been a lot of kicking the can down the road with infrastructure, with planning, with your ordinances, and there was conflicts. And so we were able to take information that we've got by mapping out the green print, which is your natural patterns, and your blueprint, which is your built patterns, to actually inform the plan going forward. We looked at your topography and how you laid the original grid over your existing topography. We studied where you put the buildings. None of the buildings are in the middle of the lot. They're on the sides of the lots. They're on the high parts of the ridges. We coded that so that your development standards would allow for the flexibility to continue the patterns that you have and see. We provided a course correction through a SWOT analysis. We analyzed your weaknesses, opportunities, strengths, and threats. We mapped those out, and those were really informative to the plan going forward. The outcome was Bandera 2040 True to Your Roots. It's a 21st century integrated comprehensive master plan with your development policies written into it, so the goals can actually be achievable. It's protecting the natural environment, keeping Bandera, maintaining the rural lifestyle, create a cohesive walkable environment from the river to North Main, and to protect your timeless authenticity that the community has going forward. We wrote intent statements. I'm going too long, Mayor. I'm going as fast as I can, man. Okay, we've got intent statements to help guide the decisions so that people understand what the intent, what the ordinances and the plans were written at the time that they were created. From rural intent, the intent of your neighborhoods where you all dwell, and the intent of your downtown core, which is the seam that stitches all of your neighborhoods together. We created hydrology maps to help us inform your thoroughfare master plan. We looked at the topography, looked at your existing block structure. You have 335-foot grids by 335-foot grids and a tiny block system, which is what the patterns that make up Bandera that make it authentic to what it is. And we map those going forward so that when and if development does arrive here, you have the ability to implement the network that will facilitate the similar patterns. We created a journey for you all with, again, low-tech, bite-sized pieces of how to reimagine Main Street and how to create the walking area and how to protect your floodplains and water conservation. We call it the seamless journey. We created various character districts and then we coded it. So what you have is your vision and your goals for the, your vision and goals for the individual districts, and then your development standards or your building standards directly adjacent. Whether it's someone trying to add onto their home or build a backyard house or build on a vacant infill lot, or someone doing new development, it provides them that consistency between the plan and the tools. Your current zoning map looks like this. We did a direct translation of the existing districts that you have to the new place type districts. And so you can see within the chart what you had to what you go to. And if you watch the patterns, they're the exact same, other than the ones that are being transformed, like this one here and then the one down in here. So there's the character districts and how they function. There's 7 character districts that breaks the community up into bite-sized pieces with different goals for each district, and align the standards and the tools to emulate the patterns that occur in the various districts. Here's the new place type zoning map. This is the one that was sent out. Here's the one that was modified and updated based on the citizen request. Your zoning ordinance is legible, it makes sense, and it's directly tied back to your comprehensive master plan. And your subdivision ordinance also is now rewritten and ties back to your comp plan and aligns with the place type standards so that at the time subdivisions occur, they can be completed. And we're hopeful that now the property owners will say, my property is now conforming to the Bandera I know and love, and your future builders will say, we love Bandera, and building Bandera is the model we go to. We had the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation last night. It was recommended to the City Council, unanimous. Tonight we're here at this public hearing and first reading. We have another public hearing and second reading on November the 16th with an after party. And so we are having an after party at Shotguns right down the street, or down the sidewalk actually, afterwards to celebrate this. This is a celebratory opportunity for your community, and we're really excited to be on this journey. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? Thank you. Item A also calls for a first reading of the subdivision ordinance. All I'm going to read is the caption because the whole thing is 400 pages long. There we go. An ordinance repealing ordinance number 2002-003 and all amendments thereafter adopted, prescribing rules and regulations governing plats, plans, and subdivisions of land within the incorporated area and extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city of Bandera, Texas, containing certain definitions, providing for a preliminary plat and a final plat, prescribing requirements and standards for streets, sidewalks, drainage, flood control, and utilities, providing for a penalty, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective update. That's one. I need the other one too. That's on the next one. Any comment, folks? Council? To move on to item B. Item B, the city council will hold a public hearing and first reading regarding the citywide rezoning, replacing the current zoning districts with the new place type zoning districts and the updated zoning ordinance. Matt has already gone over it for you. Do you have any questions about that part of it? I will read you the caption.
I'm looking for it. It's in this big,
Mayor, Tony has something.
I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
follow-up question for my P1.
Okay.
So because most of that is the river area and the park area, most of that is a floodway and floodplain. And so, based on my conversations with people that have lived through floods, is there any way that we could map that to, or it might even touch other zones too, but have it mapped to the current FEMA flood, because really, that is what dictates what we can and can't build in that particular area, in the flood areas. And so people are very concerned about saying, okay, because you're in this P type, you're allowed to build these things, but really what takes precedence is the flood and the FEMA restrictions.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. So what we did is, again, we did a translation of what was existing. We did not downzone or upzone any properties just to maintain the consistency. If it's at the will of the council to further align the place types to emulate where the flood boundaries lie, we can do that. That would be a modification to the maps. We do have those maps, and so the map I showed, I can get to it real quick.
And I don't know if the right way to do it would be in the actual place types as much as it would be in the actual ordinance itself.
Yes.
It's just stating right off the bat in chapter 14 that FEMA restrictions to the current flood map, because it changes every time we have a flood, they update it.
Yes, ma'am.
So something that would map back to that dynamic restriction, so that people would know where to go for these sorts of information.
I see what you're saying. So just an integration of the standard, the FEMA standard language into the zoning ordinance is what you're
Into
looking
the
for.
chapter 14.
Rather than, okay.
I mean, it's a
that would
question
be-
for council. I was looking for a suggestion, and then we need to discuss that as a council to put it in, but I think it would, because of all of the issues that we have with building in that area, and the fact that it does change every time we have a flood, they update their map.
Yes, ma'am. And we were very mindful not to create takings, and that would be the concern from our perspective. If you start changing the zoning, is making sure that you're not creating that, and your legal department will be able to go through that. Adding that terminology into the ordinance is something we can definitely do, and just have a quick caption that says that international building codes and FEMA regulations would supersede these elements. It is really typical that most applicants would do that, and your planning staff would also be informing them at the time that an application came in that they would absolutely have to follow the FEMA boundaries, and also the international code, fire codes, international building codes, all the international code council codes, ICC codes. Yes, ma'am.
Matt, the planning type ordinance, is that the A3-3
For the
for the top?
place
The
type, yes,
zoning.
the zoning is.
I didn't print the 200 and whatever pages it was.
Yeah, that's correct.
I don't have a caption on this one,
Right there, that's what he's saying, that you need to
where
read.
it says adopted. Okay.
No, are you talking about for repealing and replacing the actual
It
existing
doesn't have
ordinance?
a
I
repeal,
imagine
it
it would
doesn't
be
have a
the same.
repealer or severability or any of that in
Well,
it.
because it's the first reading, that was the other one.
The terminology that you read would be the same, other than now you're working on Article 14 versus Article 10. So the severability clause and the repealing and replacing should be the same terminology, except for it'd be Article 14, which is your zoning versus.
Okay, well, I just don't have that paragraph to
Oh,
read.
I see.
That being said, I can go up to 10. All right, folks, I'm going to paraphrase this because I really don't have it, but you'll get it's the very same wording as we did for the regulations. This is going to be for the zoning, making it into this platting, the type thing. Ma'am?
Place type?
Place type, yeah. So, this ordinance hasn't number yet. So, an ordinance repealing ordinance blank and all amendments thereafter adopted prescribing rules and regulations governing zoning within the incorporated area and extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city of Bandera, Texas, containing certain definitions, providing for a preliminary plat and we'll skip all that. Providing for a penalty, providing severability clause, and proving an effective date. Providing an effective date. We'll get it right before we do this again. That's only the first reading. Any comments on the zoning? All right, let's move on. Item 5, the consent agenda. Approval of minutes from August 31, 2021, September 7, 2021, September 14, 2021, and September 21, 21 meetings. Item B is approval of the 2022 holiday calendar. Rebecca?
The request item B is removed and discussed as a part of the regular meeting,
Will do.
and I will move to approve the rest of the consent agenda minutes.
Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Christine. And that is with the removal of item B?
Correct.
Thank you. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay, item 6, discussion and possible action on the following items. It will be approval of the 2022 holiday calendar. Rebecca?
Okay, I'm not comparing this because I don't have the 2021 calendar in front of me. Are there any changes to the previous calendar year?
June the 20th,
Mm-hmm.
it's Juneteenth holiday, was that it?
We're on page 19.
Yeah, I've got that.
Hello.
Is this the same?
Who's saying that was added?
Same as, it's the only addition,
That's the only addition.
correct.
So was that switched out for a different holiday?
It was not.
It's an additional holiday.
We had
Right.
2 weeks of holidays last year. And,
At 14 days. Well,
May I? Juneteenth has just been made an official holiday this year, so that would be a change. Tony?
Okay, so I did some research, and I'm going to read off the bank holidays,
Thank you.
which are 2, 4, 6, 11 bank holidays for 2022. And that's New Year's, MLK, Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day. And I also have, if you will continue, allow me to do that, I've got the, I looked up the state holidays, which is, they do it by, Labor Day was first, so they do it by fiscal year. So Labor Day, Rosh Hashanah, they have 2 days for that. Well, oh wait, I'm sorry, that's not official, that's an optional. Official closed is Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, only because Christmas Day is a holiday, is a weekend. MLK, and because New Year's Eve or New Year's Day falls on a weekend, that they didn't get that this year. President's Day, Memorial Day, and Independence Day. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 holidays. So the county has not posted theirs, which I know that we've got we used to go in line with them, but we have a few extra. So I would like to propose, because this is 15 days throughout the year, I would like to propose days that we close the office, because we impact overtime when we do that, like our Department of Public Works is a 24/7 crew. So if we have a holiday at the office, then any emergencies and things will cost extra. So I would like to strip this down to more like 10 holidays, and then if they want to use their vacation for others, or if we want to do allow skeleton crews or something like that. But this, we're already struggling with allowing people the vacation and the comp time, and they're already having to work more hours than to get the job done. And so the vacation that we give them, and now we're giving them another 2 weeks last year, and now we're giving another 2 weeks and a day. I just feel like some of this could be, I don't get this at my job, and
That's 3 work weeks.
yeah, that's 3 work weeks, again, on top of everything else. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, I'm just saying that there's a cost to the citizens to close the office, and I think that everybody deserves vacation, but if they need to take some of these days, like the 2 days at Thanksgiving and the 2 days at Christmas and the Good Friday and the different, I think those could be their actual vacation days, or comp time, or however they want to work it out.
I agree with that about the Christmas, because the 23rd is actually a Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday is
22.
Friday is the 24th.
Are you looking at 22?
Oh, no, I'm not. Hello. No laughing. Ta, 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 ta.
Yeah, I would say the 23rd, but not the 26th.
Right.
I would say we're gonna cut it down to 1, make it the 26th, so that if you're traveling home, you've got the day after Christmas instead of traveling the day of Christmas.
I would agree with that, and then if they
I'm
want,
fine with 1, but not
and
the
if they can
either.
take a holiday on that Friday if they need to. Or vacation day.
What do you want to cut it down to?
Take away the 23rd and make the 26th,
Mhm.
the day after for travel, so people could get back home.
Make it just the 26th?
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I may, Mayor? My recommendation would be to do President's Day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and do the 24th and 25th, because that's a Thursday and Friday, and then the 26th only for Christmas. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That narrows us down to 8. So if, Texas Independence Day, I've worked for the government my whole adult life. I've never gotten that day off, and God bless Texas, but
I really don't
that's-
care for that either.
I've never gotten that day off. New Year's Day, that's not, it's observed on the 31st, according to this, no. MLK Day, I'm fine with them getting that day if we want to add it to give them another day.
That's actually not right, it's the 30th, is a Friday.
And Columbus Day if we wanted to do 10 days, but we could really narrow it down to 8, to me.
Okay, and
Rebecca?
just also, December 31, 2022 is a Saturday,
Right.
so can we just cross that one out?
Yeah.
Oh, that says 21, I'm sorry. Are we just focused on the calendar year, or are we not?
Oh,
So
'Cause-
I'd say scratch that.
The December 31st, the 31st one was on last year's calendar.
So
okay.
it's already there.
Yeah, so that one was on last year's approved calendar.
Okay.
Okay, so that
So we
doesn't,
don't
so
need
we
it on
don't need,
this
so we don't
calendar.
really need that because it's not on here.
So we got MLK,
President's Day.
President's Day is consensus, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I would say yes.
Independence Day we scratched,
Hold on, let's look at the calendar.
The Texas Independence Day.
Texas Independence Day. Good Friday is a yes, Memorial Day is a yes, Juneteenth is kind of questionable to me.
Oh,
I'm like, no.
No.
I don't know.
I say we can come back to it if we want to add another holiday. I'd say come back to it.
Ma'am?
See how many holidays we say yes to and then come back to it. It's a
Right.
brand new holiday, so.
Okay, Independence Day is a yes. Labor Day is a yes. Columbus Day?
No. To to me.
Am I hearing yes or no down there?
Columbus Day, no.
It's a no for me.
I say yes.
Columbus Days, it's not a common holiday to get off. I mean, I don't get it at my job.
I don't get it either.
I'm getting this, okay. Veterans Day, yes.
Yes.
I still agree with the 2 days at Thanksgiving, but
Yes.
that's,
I
Yes,
do too.
yes.
I do as
And
well.
2
then
days
one
for
day of
Thanksgiving.
A lot of
the
people-
26th for Christmas.
And the 26th for Christmas.
Okay, so to recap, Monday, January the 17th, MLK Day. Monday, February 21st, President's Day. Friday, April 15th, Good Friday. Monday, April 30th, Memorial Day. Monday, July 4th, Independence Day. Monday, September 5th, Labor Day. Friday, November the 11th, Veterans Day. Thursday and Friday, November 24 and 25, Thanksgiving. And Monday, December 26th, Christmas.
That's 9.
That's 10.
Is it 10?
That's 10.
Oh, I can't count.
That's 10.
I'm good with that.
I don't know that Juneteenth is considered a new holiday, and, I don't know that, I know, but, new?
It is a new, it's a new federal holiday as of
It is a new federal holiday. We want to add that one back in?
I guess we're getting a little, I'm getting a little philosophical here, but observing Columbus Day and not Juneteenth.
We're
I'm
not
fine
doing
to-
Columbus Day
You
off.
did take Columbus Day off?
Columbus Day is
I
off.
thought you said it was staying on.
No, Jerry said he voted for it, but the rest of us didn't.
So what if,
Yeah,
That's where I had 11 and not 10.
so what if
holidays forever.
we used to have a thing, and I don't know if we can do this, but November, we could have either Veterans Day off, or we could have the day after Thanksgiving off.
Oh,
And so I
floating.
know that, so maybe we take the poll, maybe the office decides.
I think that's
I think-
I would vote for
We-
Good Friday.
Well,
Good
that's right.
Friday
I was gonna
versus,
make it between Good
Good Friday and the day
and-
after Thanksgiving could be a floating
Well,
day.
we've got it down to 10 as it is.
No,
Leaving it.
I would,
Yes, Rebecca?
so if we eliminate for certain, we've got December 31, 21 off.
Right,
We've got Texas Independence Day off, it's a Wednesday.
Columbus
And
Day.
we've got December, well, if we, instead of removing that, just
Okay.
hear me out. We do take off December 23rd.
We already did.
That eliminates 1, 2, 3 of the 15 proposed, and we send it back to staff for polling to narrow it down to their preferred 10. Let's get it down to 10 and let's give them some input on. Is that similar to what you just said?
It is, yeah. Because you've got January, February, and then if we did May, June, July, and then September, November, and then we get like
December.
the holidays. I mean, to me, that spreads it
They
out.
are spread out.
That spreads it out. If we take away the Good Friday and we leave Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day.
Taking away Good Friday.
Adding Juneteenth, seriously?
It's just an option.
Well, if we take off Juneteenth,
I mean, the banks are open on Good Friday.
we're down to 10.
It's not like,
That's only because they
Would
can't
y'all
be
like to
closed
table
3
this and
days
bring
in
it
a
back
row.
to council?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, Rebecca?
I'd like to move to send back a revised proposal for staff polling after December 31, 2021 is removed. Wednesday, March 2nd is removed. And December 23rd is removed.
Just
To
December
narrow
20th.
it down to 10.
Okay, so leave this one in.
so they gotta remove it to one.
That just means taking in one. Okay,
That's the
I'll second
motion.
that.
Okay.
second?
I'll second that. Let them decide.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor?
Sure.
All in
Could
favor,
have said
Sherry?
no.
No? Opposed? Jerry's opposed. Goes back to staff for recommendation. Okay, item A, discussion of possible action on a request from Nancy Harvey, owner of Spirits of Texas, to close the portion of Cypress Street from the end of Bandera Bank drive-through entrance to approximately 20 feet past the end of Spirits of Texas on Saturday, November 13th, 2021, from the end of the parade until 5, it says a.m., you mean 5 p.m.?
5 p.m.
Thank you,
Typo.
for a veterans event.
Yes.
Nancy?
I'm asking council to consider allowing me to close that portion of Cypress Street. Again, I will not block access to the bank, and it will not block access to 11th Street, because we're doing something that to the best of my research, has never been done before. We're bringing actual veterans organizations in to set up to talk to veterans about the services that are available. We found 3 organizations that are willing to come in, and I think I gave each one of you a flyer about what we're doing. We're doing this in conjunction with an organization in Bernie, called VOSBO, Veteran Small Business Organization, which I'm proud to say we are a member of, because I evidently qualified, which surprised me. But because we're going to have a band that's all made up of all veterans, and we're going to have these organizations, we're going to have the Patriot with their Hummer out in front of the store doing live broadcasts. I think it will be, I know there's stuff going on at the courthouse, and I'm not trying to interfere with that. But we want to make sure we have enough room that as they move in that direction and they find out about these organizations and they want to talk and get more information, that we have the space available to be able to give them the room and the time that they need to talk to the organizations. And we would make it at the end of the parade, so if the parade were longer than 12, we wouldn't do it till after the parade's over.
Thank you. Tony?
And you've confirmed with the bank that there's nothing going on in their conference room across the street, or in
There rarely is, but they
curious to
haven't.
know maybe they,
They'll be
Yeah,
closed.
we just wanted to make sure we didn't block that access at all.
yeah, but they have a conference room that they rent out on occasion for stuff. I don't know. And then of course there's the bed and breakfast there too. Those are the only other businesses in the area you're talking about.
Yeah, it's me and 11th Street.
And not blocking the parking lot, starting just past the parking lot.
Right, toward the
Right.
last street.
Toward
Just
Lebanon.
past it.
There's the one that used to be Graceful, that's now
Yes,
a
ma'am.
bed and breakfast, and then the bank, that's the only ones I could think of that would be impacted.
Right. Jerry,
I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead.
I move to close the portion of Cypress Street from the end of the Bandera Bank drive-through entrance to approximately 20 feet past the end of Spirits of Texas on Saturday, November 13th, 2021, from the end of the parade until 5 a.m.
PM.
for Veterans Information Center.
Would you make that PM, please?
I'm sorry?
Did you say, it's PM, 5 PM?
Oh, I'm sorry. 5 p.m.
Thank you.
It does say AM though, so I
Tony?
was reading it.
Tony seconds. Further discussion? Rebecca?
I just wanted to ask the marshal for input on traffic flow and his feelings about it. You good?
And Nancy and I did discuss it on several occasions, I think.
She's going to go from
If we do, we'll certainly work around
this
them
side
and
of the parking lot
get them resolved.
to 20 feet.
Well, and I would just say too, I think this is a first for that section of the block, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. I hope it goes well, and it's an
So
easy
this
thing
is this
to
long building, so
We're
it's-
excited about
so
it.
we're
Yeah.
taking the car.
I was gonna say, because of traffic flow, maybe we should consider doing it all the way above the street,
Right,
not
just
just
right in
20
front of
past, because if somebody turns in there, there's nowhere for them to turn back around.
The only thing I was concerned about were the B&Bs, right?
Right, and I think that, I mean, if we don't,
Nobody.
we just put on, do we have a sign that says no through traffic, and we can put it at the intersection of 11th, meaning that the people staying in the bed and breakfast know that they can, maybe we have 2, maybe we've got one for her and then one for traffic, and then people, like a real barricade at 20 feet, and then some warnings at the intersection. Because there's nowhere, because we've got the chain link fence, there's no turnaround. So if you get into that, yeah, let's go into that. So, okay, thank you, Will.
Rebecca?
Yeah, I don't wanna get in the weeds too much either. I do agree though, to moving it all the way up to 11th Street, if Will feels like that's the best way to handle it. I think he has the authority and the agency to make, and probably talking to those folks at the Airbnb would do a lot of good too. I hope it's good. Yeah, looking forward to being there.
Great idea.
Jerry, do you want to amend your motion to extend the closure to 11th Street for this event?
It's fine the way it is,
Okay.
or leave it to Will.
I'd like to move to close the portion of Cypress Street to the intersection of Cypress and 11th Street,
Good enough.
approximately 20 feet past the end of Spirit of Texas on Saturday, November 13, 2021, from the end of the parade until 5 p.m. for Veterans Information Center.
Thank you. Tony, you agree, of course? I think,
That's an amendment.
of the amended motion. Okay. Further discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to it, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
Item B, discussion of possible action on an ordinance adopting the Bandera Comprehensive Plan, including Appendix 1, Transportation Master Plan. You were all sent a link to this. You were given a chance to review it. Darcy.
So moved.
Darcy makes a motion to approve. Tony seconds. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Item C, discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending Chapter 14 zoning of the Bandera Code of Ordinances. Darcy.
So moved.
Darcy makes a motion to approve. Christine seconds. Discussion? All in favor?
Wait.
All in favor,
Hang
none
on, she said
opposed.
wait. She said wait.
I said wait, you said discussion, and I,
Oh, I
said
beg your
wait.
pardon.
it's okay. So are we amending this final as what we were provided, or what about the conversation that we had a few minutes ago regarding adding the part about the FEMA maps and the...
Well, this is a transportation plan.
No, we did.
Now-
I mean, this is
We're
the, I'm
on
sorry,
C.
this is the zoning.
We're on C.
You're right, we're on zoning. Do we need to amend this before we adopt it?
It's at the will of the council. We can add that language and bring that back by the 16th. So I can amend the language and bring that back if that's something you all
So I
want.
agree with amending, I just think that there's more amending to do. That's-
I would just ask that, I mean, do we actually need that statement in it to make people compliant to it, right? I see what you're saying, but it's still the law, even if it's not written there.
That's correct.
And it'll be a part of the permitting process.
So I think part of our challenge, sorry.
Go ahead, Tony.
I think part of our challenge is that some people go to we say go to chapter 14, and those are our ordinances. And if they read that, some people don't know that there's other things outside the local. And so if we just refer to them and say that this may be superseded, just like Matt suggested, I think it would cut down on a lot of the confusion. I don't think we have to go into a lot of detail,
But,
Darcy had her hand up.
okay.
Darcy.
Then they go to pull a permit and Keely should at that point say, no, you can't put something there.
You added
And that
the
ends it.
procedure.
So I'd like to call for a vote, please.
Rebecca.
I'm okay with voting.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the table,
Right.
so it's as it stands without any amendment. All in favor? Darcy, Christine, Rebecca, Jerry in favor, opposed? Tony is opposed, motion passes. Moving right along. Item D, discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending Chapter 10 Subdivision Regulation of the Bandera Code of Ordinances.
Darcy?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I just kind of threw it.
Darcy, you just waving?
So moved.
Thank you, Darcy. Darcy makes the motion to approve. Rebecca seconds. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Item E, discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending the citywide comprehensive zoning map by replacing the current zoning districts with the new zoning districts in the updated Chapter 14 place type zoning ordinance.
Question?
I need a motion. Quick question?
Quick question. Is this map with what you already had or with the citizens' requests in it?
You all can adopt it either way. If you want to honor the citizens' request, we would ask that you make a recommendation with the 2 modifications. We've only received 2 modifications since it's been.
Is that what the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended last night?
We didn't receive these requests until today, so we've modified this based off today's request.
Jared?
The one on Highway 16 was received by
sorry,
P&Z
that's
last
correct.
night and recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yes, the 264, State Highway 16 was recommended by the commission last night. I apologize. The other one was received this today.
Rebecca?
My comment would be, so since the one modification was already included and approved, we have one that was not approved. Does that mean that basically if the council approves it with the modification, then we're overruling the recommendation of the P&Z and we need a supermajority to achieve that motion?
We don't even have a motion yet, and a motion would be,
But I asked a question specifically, if the motion would be to include one amendment, then we would need 4 out of the 5 to vote in favor.
that's correct, because there's not a recommendation on
That's a
the, on
change.
the agenda.
Okay. Or does it need to go back to the P&Z for those changes? And I think John has something to say that may be relevant to
I
this.
didn't realize when I was at the last meeting that you do your request this quickly, and I need to make a request
So potentially another,
on 203 13th Street, because it's,
Is there
Well, once this is in place, we can always do the variance thing. We don't have to, we're not stuck with it.
I think this is a much simpler avenue though to do this ahead of the adoption, as opposed to putting citizens through a variance process and fees and things like that. So if we can get it on the front end.
And from my understanding, the council does have the ability to override as long as you're going to a lower classification without having to do modifications. That in previous cities I've worked with, all city attorneys have agreed that the council has that ability.
Okay.
It's not overriding the planning commission because it's going to a lower classification,
Okay.
so you're not increasing entitlements, which would trigger
Okay.
the notification requirements. That's
Okay.
That does make sense.
He said that last
So
time, last
from
week.
a process perspective, if we were to make a motion and say it would include all requests by citizens that were approved by P&Z up to this date, meaning we give them, say, another, when's your next P&Z meeting?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, if they had say they had a P&Z meeting the 3rd week in November or something, or say, we receive anything by the 15th of November, allow P&Z to review it, then this motion would include those. And if they're not, then, or we could table it and just wait.
May I suggest, if we approve it as it is, with what P&Z has, although we don't have a recommendation on our table, so it's kind of fuzzy here, why don't we have a 60-day grace period from the date of adoption or codification that residents can go through the process free of charge, but only for 60 days? Gives everybody a chance to really see what it is, how it's going to work, decide what they want to do, and go that way.
And have it go through the P&Z for recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that.
Rebecca?
I just want to make sure I'm understanding Matt correctly. We don't have to have a variance process in order to downplace, right? So, and I'm just making something up. If someone in P5, it feels like their property is more of a P3, then that should be a real simple approval thing that can get through. Doesn't trigger a variance process and public notice
right.
and things like that.
That's correct, yes ma'am. What we are doing is asking everyone to do it in writing, just so that we're not creating a takings. And so later in the record, you have all of the ability to say, okay, every citizen requested this, we didn't downzone them. so that happens later. There is a threshold of, that action needs to happen within a certain time period based off of the notification under state law, and I think it's 3 weeks. I'm not 100% sure though, that's a legal question. But I think that there has to be action within a 3-week period, otherwise re-notification must occur. I think that that's correct. There's a certain time period you have to act before that sunsets, if you will, and you have to renotice. But I think it's 3 weeks, I'm not 100% sure. I can try and look it up real quick.
If it is, I would suggest that P and Z needs to meet in that time frame, and that process needs to be publicized.
Yes, Tony.
So if we went with the 60-day, if we approve him tonight, that meets that threshold. We don't have to worry about legal. And if we do the caveat of, for the next 60 days, citizens can request rezoning of their own property to be reviewed by the P and Z, recommended to the council, and that would be included in this final thing. And I think that kind of covers all bases. I mean, the 60 days, I'm okay with whatever time frame, but I think that covers.
Dorothy?
Can Jill tell us when the next P and Z meeting is?
Well, it should, the regular meeting should be the 22nd.
Well, 3 weeks would be Christmas.
22nd,
And
she said.
what are your thoughts about?
Yeah, we had a special meeting yesterday, so we can have a special meeting at any time. So I would say the sooner the better, since the notices were sent out to every citizen, and this is our third public hearing, I think. So we can schedule a special planning and zoning meeting. I don't think that extending it out that far is.
When were those notices sent out?
We sent them out, do you remember the date we postmarked them?
I think it's October the 28th. That's right.
And it's been published in the paper 4 times.
Yeah, I've seen it.
P&Z and City Council. So, I mean, we can have a special meeting before y'all's next meeting, which is the final adoption date, which is the 16th. So we could have a meeting the 15th for any, the day before.
So for any additional modifications to place types,
And then
property
email them.
owners, specifically a
Right.
meeting just for that topic.
Right, because we've only gotten 2 during this whole process since October, so.
Yeah, but we just kind of came up with it
Well,
last
but
week.
and it's not really different from the existing zoning.
But the option was actually discussed and put on the table.
Right, right.
The day after the P and Z meeting, based on information from that public hearing. So it really is only, it hadn't even been in place a week. So.
David had his hand up.
Yes, sir. We've had a lot of people call after the dailies was sent out. We had some people come to City Hall. They were asking questions, upset. We answered some of the questions. They said they would be here for the public hearings and so forth to get clarification. And for whatever reason, they haven't appeared. I'm fine. I think it's a good idea. However, like the mayor said, give a grace period after the adoption of this master plan for people to come and request that they can be downgraded in their particular zone. And then after the 60-day period, then it's final, and everybody's had the opportunity. Once again, we can do a push out, or however you want to do it, announce it one more time, that this is going to be final on such and such a date, and move forward that way.
Then they'll be
Sounds like
charged.
we have a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion?
Darcy, you're doing so good.
You're great at those really long ones, Rebecca.
I don't
Go.
know that we need to include any of that, though. I'll just move to improve
Move to
the
approve.
existing ordinance, or, yes, the ordinance, as recommended by the P&C.
I'll second. We switched it up.
Further discussion, council?
Okay, so how do we come to the conclusion that we're not giving a grace period?
We are.
We are.
That's just outside of the motion. It's outside of this adoption.
Thank you, sir.
When those recommendations come back, then they'll
It'll
just
be
be changed
included in
more.
this.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we
I
good?
thought that's exactly what.
Further discussion?
Yeah. All right.
All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Item F. Second reading and approval of Resolution 2021-021, approving the project of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation for approving disbursement of $65,000 for the purchase of real property. I need to read the caption for the record. Resolution 2021-21, a resolution of the Council of the City of Bandera, Texas, authorizing eligible expenditures of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation, making certain findings regarding eligible expenditures of the corporation, and establishing requirements for expenditure pursuant thereto. Darcy?
So moved.
Second.
Yes, Christine, you second. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Got that one out of the way. Item G.
Oh,
Wow.
No,
I ran around in the rain all day yesterday.
I almost shot you.
Item G, discussion of
joke.
possible action on ordinance 395, amending the Bandera Code of Ordinances to better define the roles, responsibilities, and reporting chain of command for the city administrator, city marshal, and city treasurer. Okay, ordinance 395. Rebecca?
Last time we had this, we had a lengthy discussion and some, you guys went back from the last meeting and addressed those
Yes.
concerns and kind of the language. I think you might have brought some of those things up specifically, Tony.
Yes, and also, and we deconflicted the,
Deconflicted.
excuse
I
me?
love that word.
Deconflicted.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Deconflicted, the items that we had concerns about, and then Mr. Santee also corrected the, personnel policy manual to be in line with the ordinances presented, so everything will line up.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
May I make a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Move to approve.
Sorry, Mr. Will.
Oh, Mr. Will.
Oh, I'm sorry, Will.
Oh, yes, Marshall.
I need to apologize to David. I've been busy and I didn't get because there's one thing I didn't like and I didn't realize until just a little bit earlier. And I'm blindsiding him because I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it. So I apologize. And it is under 104.036.
What, can you repeat that? Sorry.
104036, powers and duties.
In capital P.
I'm sorry, I'm looking. 36.
What was the letter?
Capital B.
Page 26 in your packet.
Oh, I did too. B. Okay, B. Right under the highlight.
When y'all find it, I'm going to give
B.
you a scenario that will never happen between me and David, but it's what I would worry about if we change it to this wording.
Okay.
Because it says supervise, provide direction, discipline, hire, and fire the employees of, and the struck out part, all of the departments of the city. Well, we have I guess a principle, an unwritten policy that there's absolutely no one is above being arrested for whatever they do, even me. So if you find me drunk driving 2 o'clock in the morning, I go to jail. We've hypotheticalized whether it's the mayor, whether it's a city council person, whether it's a city administrator, and we don't call me on the way to the jail, we call me on the way home from the jail to notify me about it. And if we have a position where someone else is in a position to fire or discipline, such as the city administrator, that person, I believe that's a problem. Yeah, do y'all see where I'm coming from?
I don't.
Well,
So I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand how it applies to this sentence.
If I may,
Because it says to discipline city officers. I don't see that as marshals, I see that as, is that officers as
All
officials,
city-
like city secretary?
It says all
treasurer,
departments.
department
officials?
heads.
He's an appointed.
all employees.
All
It's pretty much
employees.
excluding everybody except for city officers in that particular sentence.
Oh.
So,
That's correct.
as I'm reading and interpreting this, I'm correct. So therefore the city administrator could fire the deputy marshal that had him or her, that had been pulled over for a traffic ticket or
Oh, I see what you're saying.
a DWI or whatever else the case might be. And I think that creates a problem.
Maybe I'll understand better if you suggest, what do you want, what would you rather it read? Maybe I'll understand it better that
Well,
way.
I think previously we excluded that from happening. You know, if one of my deputies does something wrong, they're accountable to me. If I don't hold them accountable, I'm not accountable to one person, I'm accountable to the elected body. So there's not one person making a decision because they felt they've been wronged or they're upset. It's the elected group.
Oh, I see, because down here it says upon the advice and after obtaining the input of any applicable department head. So if there's somebody between David and somebody else.
Well, I don't want to single out David because I'm here to tell you.
Well, I mean, okay, city administrator and somebody else. Not, yeah. That's the part. I don't.
Gary?
I'd like to hear David's thoughts.
Once you get them.
And once again, I apologize to him because we should have had this discussion earlier. It's not his fault.
While David's thinking there. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This was part of the stuff we were talking
No,
about.
well, me personally, as the administrator, I would never recommend hiring anybody without consulting with the department head. And in this case, with Marshall being an officer of the city, then they would become before the city council. So, I myself don't see any problem with it because it's how I operate. Now, obviously, unless a miracle happens, I'm the city administrator for the next 20 years, and somebody else comes along, they may see it differently, but I would never terminate somebody without consulting the department head in that department before a decision was made.
I want to comment on this. First off, the marshal is not a city officer, he's an appointed official, it's an appointed position.
Okay, yes.
And by striking upon the advice and after obtaining the input of any applicable department head, we are avoiding the chain of command here. We are putting everything in your hands, where the department head should be, I believe, over their people. And if there's some, I just can't see a situation where a department head wouldn't take this in and run with it, and it's happened before, and not have to bring you into the everyday hiring and firing, because you may, but I think department heads should be consulted. Tony?
And I've seen it the other way too. I've seen the up jump a tier below them, so somebody's disciplined without a department head knowing, and I wouldn't want that to happen, which I think is what I see what Will's saying now. So if this was to read, supervise, provide direction, discipline, and hire and fire employees of all departments of the city, including authority to discipline city officers, and where applicable, upon consultation with department head in a manner consistent with city personnel policies. I mean, it just puts that in there about where applicable if there's a department head, but if a department head's on vacation and an immediate action needs to be taken, then the ultimate authority needs to rely on the city administrator. So, but I would think that the where applicable upon consultation with the department head would encourage, that sort of proper chain of command.
Yes, Darcy?
I'm going to agree with Tony on the when applicable with department head. I will say that I brought this point up when we talked about this before. And I don't know if you misunderstood me, Will, but this is the exact scenario that I was trying to bring up, that, I will say though, that if we it feels like if we go back, that's exactly what we're doing, is going backwards, and we're separating the marshal's department from the rest of the city officers. I think we have to word it in a way, and maybe rewording it with Tony's suggestion is the way to do it. Because we've got to have everything lined out. And I do agree that you have to be the ultimate authority because you're not going to be here forever and you're not going to be here forever. And you two guys are both men of integrity and I'm so thankful to have y'all here. But we also know y'all aren't going to be here forever. So we've got to have something to protect the citizens that way. And I totally see where Will's coming from that, that's a scary thought, to think about one of the deputy marshals thinking that they're going to get fired for doing their job if they do pull over the city administrator or a council member for that matter. Because what if I go tell David, fire that guy, or I'm going to make sure you get fired. So we do need to find a way to protect them in a way, and giving the marshal some authority there too helps. But I don't think he can be the ultimate authority either. It's got to go both ways. But there is, my last little point, there is where they can fight their firing, their termination, and come back to council, and so they do have that as well, so.
David had something.
I was just going to request that we go ahead and table this again. I'm really grateful that we're hashing it out and getting it fine-tuned. And I think it's worth the due diligence to get it right before adoption.
I agree.
In that case, so just with this one piece, let's bring it back after we get, so 104036, item
B.
7B.
Okay, we don't have a motion on the table yet.
I just made a motion to table
The entire thing and come back
with
for
this.
a clarification of that one. Okay.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay,
Have a second?
you did.
I did.
Darcy did
Oh,
it.
thank you, Darcy. I didn't see you. I apologize. Further discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay, there's 395. Okay.
Mayor.
Yes.
I need to excuse myself.
Okay, Jerry has something pressing he needs to attend, and he will be leaving the meeting at 7:20. Thank you, Jerry, and we're nearly finished with this anyway. We've got 2 more items. Item H, discussion and possible action on Resolution 2021-022, amending the Bandera Personnel Policy Manual to reflect changes consistent with Ordinance 395 and necessary due to legislative changes. You want to table this one too? This one without that one.
Yeah.
Got a motion
Move
to table?
table.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Darcy. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Item I, proposal for setting an application deadline from business to request for hot tax reimbursement. This was on the previous agenda, and y'all decided to table it. I just think we need to set a date with those applications rolling. Tony, I believe your thoughts on it was to leave the application process open all year long?
Yeah, so I'm kind of leaning toward, we set a one-time deadline for everything, we can review the first come, first served stuff in rank and order, but I would hate to see us close that off to some opportunity that would come up later in the year that we would like to review if we had money left, so.
Well, okay, do y'all want to set a dollar amount on the amount of money that the council wants to spend that way, or disperse that way this year? Because we've got about 100,000 in there right now.
I would say no to that, if you're looking at me for an answer.
Rebecca?
Considering the point you just made, and then looking at all of the existing events, kind of the regulars that have been through this, they're seasoned in this process, but then there might be some new and upcoming events that would possibly like to tap into this. I think it's worthy of a workshop myself, to include CBB and BBA and, event coordinators and organizations to get together and talk about how this helps, how it works, what works for them, what works for us, what are problems. Because we've tried to structure this in a few different ways in the past. And somehow or another, we always run into some hiccups. or people who didn't get their paperwork in time, or, you know, didn't provide all the correct documentation. I know we have a good application, and
We have a good process,
yeah,
too.
we do have a good process, but we've moved dates around and we've changed some formatting. We've tried to work with the EDC to kind of align efforts. I just don't want to pretend like I know what's absolutely best for everybody without really hearing from everybody.
I like that idea, sorry.
Darcy?
I like that idea, to have a workshop and kind of hear feedback from all those involved. You know, the big groups in town, including the Visitors Bureau. I'm sure Miss Pat's got some, she's not here this time,
She's
wow.
not here.
I'm sure Miss Pat's got some feedback for us, and even the chamber probably has some stuff. So,
Okay. Tony?
So we're about to get into big holiday season, lots of things going on, lots of activities going on, and I think we're about meeting down with all of the budget meetings and everything else, and
And all
so
these
I would like to
special
say,
meetings.
maybe we should just set a date such as November 30th, try to get it out there, maybe we try to have a workshop before then, or on or before, but I think we need to get some hot funds distributed before and that's even after Thanksgiving, but, you know.
Well, remember, our hot funds are done on a reimbursement basis, so the chamber would be the only one eligible until next year, next calendar year. And I would be more than willing to entertain their application for funding, but again, it's a reimbursement basis.
I mean,
And we can even make it later than that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't object with the workshop, I just, I worry about putting things off because we are about to go into holiday, so.
Well, let's just open up the applications, see what we get in, and then deal with it from there. We don't have to set a date to close it.
Yeah.
So, can we, first of all, we are talking about next calendar year, right?
No,
We're
it's
not,
a-
it's a fiscal year?
It's the
It's
fiscal
the
year.
fiscal year. So,
October 1.
may I move to open
Yes, ma'am.
HOT reimbursement applications?
Thank you. Tony, seconds. Further discussion? All in favor?
Wait, I got one thing to say. Sorry, I got a discussion.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So, just a thought process, it doesn't really affect this, but something to think about is maybe we put this as a regular recurring agenda item on our second meeting of the month, and then we look at what we've got, and so say like the 10th or 15th is, whatever. It's like whatever we have, we just recurring, have it on our agenda item, and we look at what we have.
That's great.
I would like to also, council, to start thinking about other uses for those funds, because we have finally, I pinned the auditor down, and we have an actual new bank account, which is nothing but hot funds. It's not commingled, it doesn't disappear at the end of the budget year, it doesn't float off into,
like it was supposed to be?
just saying. Anyway, so that's something we need to look at, other ways that we can use this stuff. All right, we've taken, oh, wait a minute, still need to vote.
Yes.
All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Thank you. Let's move down to item N, discussion possible action for the allocation of votes on the Bandera CAD Board of Directors election, and we have a ballot.
Got a hand up in the audience.
Oh, you're right, I saw it.
Suzanne. Got a hand up.
Hey, Renee. Yes, ma'am.
So I want to speak to this for just a second. Big Cat is having a meeting tomorrow morning at 9:30, and with the exception of Darcy, really more before she was a council member, there's very little activity from those entities who actually bring forward a name. And once this person is nominated and seated, nobody comes to see what kind of job they're doing. And so it's always astounding to me as a business person, I would never rehire somebody that I didn't know what kind of job they were doing. So, I know I've said it before, but I would really like to see council come and see what the person that they've nominated or the person that's put in place, are they doing the job you want them to? Because these people just keep getting reappointed. And I can tell you that the job, they're doing an abysmal job. They're getting ready to let our chief appraiser go. Not that they're firing him, but he's been offered another job, making significantly more money. Sorry, Noel. And we have an opportunity to keep him if people would show up and ask that they pay him. Nobody is going to do this job, the job that he's done. And so I'm afraid what we're going to get is what we had before when he's gone. And so I would really encourage y'all as elected officials to show up and voice an opinion. Keeping him would be a bonus for our county, and losing him is going to be severely detrimental. And there are rumors that they will bring back the person it took us 10 years to get rid of. So I'm just asking.
Thank you.
I absolutely wish I could. I mean, the fact that the CAD meetings and the county commissioner meetings are right in the middle of a work week, they don't always, you know, it's not always allowed. I mean, that's the trouble. Unless you're retired or work for yourself and can flex your schedule or something, it's very difficult to attend those meetings. And so I know that we on the council have a liaison for that organization, but I know it's important, and it's unfortunate because they're.
So I would also ask if, your liaison would maybe bring as an elected official and request that they move these meetings, because I totally agree. I have the same complaint with commissioners. There are lots of us who would go. We just simply don't have that kind of flexibility. I have a little more flexibility than a lot of people, and I still find myself not always being able to make it. The one at the CAD, though, y'all, is going to be serious.
Rebecca?
I thank you, Renee, for the input, certainly. So I was at another board meeting this morning, having the same conversation, where we had 141 votes to cast. And one of the board members is on our nomination ballot. So his name is Ernie DeWinney. So I keep up, not by attending as much, which would be great to be able to do more often, but I keep up in a sense with some of the activities and goings on. I did get the sense that there was going to be an effort to keep our current chief appraiser. We'll see what happens. I know they're going into executive session in the morning.
They have to.
Right.
They have to either accept or reject his resignation.
And I agree with you that it would be in the best interest of the county to keep this human. So as to our 58 votes, what I have a hard time really understanding how our 58 votes don't make a huge impact. They especially don't make a huge impact if we divide them, because we're going to have to be combined with the other 5,000 votes to get someone forward. And as much as I do appreciate your input and respect you and think you would do an awesome job, I really would like to see the city throw their votes behind Ernie DeWinney. I do think that he is an excellent advocate for fiscal responsibility, for transparency, and that he volunteered himself to go in during a real mess of a situation and has been able, I think, to build consensus around some of the recent shifts that have occurred in favor of the citizens and proper function of that office.
Are you making a motion?
I'd like to hear from the rest of council. I mean, I'm happy to, if you'd like, if anyone,
Well,
I'm happy
we're kind
to.
of jumping around here and getting more into discussion without the whole motion thing. Yes, Darcy?
Wow, I completely agree with it doesn't make any sense to divide our 58 votes, especially when Bandera ISD gets 2,237 votes and they put somebody off of their board on there every year, and then he also becomes the president of the CAD board. So, and he's the one that chooses repeatedly to have these meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning. Even when I ask repeatedly in open meetings not to have them at 10 o'clock in the morning, because it makes us, that work, it makes it hard for us to go. And then that gets turned around on me when they do letters to my job trying to get me fired, because I do attend those meetings at 10 o'clock in the morning on Fridays, trying to tell on me for not being at work. So I do appreciate Mr. DeWinney very much, and do stand by my nomination of him being on the board. However, I would like for us to put all of our 58 votes behind Conrad Butch Striegel. I'd like to see the 58 votes go toward him.
May I provide some input just from this morning's board meeting, because they are both on the board with me, the River Authority board, and Conrad put his support behind Ernie.
Sure.
And so I just don't know that that would impact anything in the direction, and I'd hate to take votes away from the one that the River Authority, that they themselves decided to support. I don't think that would be a good use of our votes, personally.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I think Mr. DeWinney will more than likely be put on the board anyway. So I think that if our 58 votes were gonna be best used to help maybe tip somebody, we just saw somebody win an election by 4 votes here in our city. By 3 votes, sorry. That maybe those 58 votes might, tip somebody over the edge, because Butch is well-known in the area. So I would still stick by I wouldn't be upset if we put them behind Mr. DeWinney, but I would still like us to put them behind Butch.
Rebecca.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion, but I'm still open to discussion. I'll move to put our 58 votes behind Ernest DeWinney.
Tony? Second? Thank you. Further discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Darcy, because, and I really do respect what you're saying, and I really do appreciate Conrad and think he'd be great for the role. But what I also know is that whoever's gonna get nominated, like, you kind of have an idea of who the school boards are gonna pick their folks, right? And they might throw some votes to another person. Same thing with the county. Right, maybe not. They've got all the weight, though. And one of these 2 gentlemen has been going to the other taxing entity meetings and board meetings and advocating for the job that he's been doing and to plea for some votes. Whereas I didn't get any indication that the other one was doing any of that. So I don't know that, we're speculating, of course we are, but I feel the most confident that the best use of our votes is to put them behind Ernie. So that's why I made that motion.
All right, then, let's vote on this thing. The motion is to put all 58 votes behind Ernest DeWinney. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay, we'll get that off to them tomorrow. Item 7, request announcements. 1, request announcements to place items on a future agenda. We've got several things already in the works. Anybody have anything that we haven't gone through over? Yes, Dorothy.
Just quickly to reiterate the board of directors meeting in the morning, I cannot go. So if somebody can go, I can usually take off Friday mornings, but I cannot take off tomorrow morning. I cannot be there to advocate for our chief appraiser. I wish I could. I just found out about it about 2 hours ago. But I can't be there because we're doing a ribbon cutting at our new courthouse in Medina County. So I can't be there, so please show up. Please advocate for our new, or our chief appraiser to stay. And also, I wanted to say that Nightmare on Maple was amazing, and I'd like to give the marshal's office a hand for that and everybody that
Thank y'all for all the support. We had some help through here in the room. It was very helpful. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, we've apparently skipped to announcements.
did.
So,
That's kind of what I do.
any further
whatever
announcements by
I want.
council?
Done?
Yes, David.
I'm not council, but I would like to just second what Darcy said. Great event with National Night Out and Halloween event together. Came down and it was a great turnout, and it was really good to see everybody having a good time. So
Good deal.
kudos to the marshal and all the staff that put it together. Great event.
We didn't count, that was one of the things we discussed in the after action, was if there was any possible way to figure out, and there's just not, if I could take a minute and thank everybody and all our sponsors, and we're already discussing some bigger, better, different, more Western plans for next year. We would love some volunteers so we could have some help, but I'm hopeful that we have a more Western Halloween next year is all I can say right now. We're very excited.
Cool. Scary hay rides.
So it's gonna be rodeo on Maple Street?
Like a
Rodeo
ghost
nightmare,
town.
rodeo nightmare on Maple?
Yeah.
All right, let's go back up here quickly to clarify any request for a future agenda item, council. Yes, Rebecca.
The one thing, I just know, and y'all probably already have this, but just to confirm mayor's appointment of Mayor Pro Tem, it's time to do that.
As soon as they're all sworn in, we can do that.
That would be at our next regular meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we go ahead and do it next Tuesday, because we haven't posted that yet. We can do Tuesday when we do at 5 o'clock, when we do the rest of the new members and the swearing in
Did you
and
not
everything.
get the email, Christina, did you not know we were having a meeting Tuesday?
Which meeting? I already have an EDC meeting Tuesday.
Can I just,
Monday, we have one.
We have Monday, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
I would just ask that that goes on our next regular meeting.
Okay.
No.
Anything else?
I thought that was in the
Anybody?
morning.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Rebecca, and a
So
second.
seconded.
Everybody seconds, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed. This meeting is adjourned. 7:37.